Hey Bougie click. Do you crave validation? Are you a man-hater or an approval junkie? Do you think pick-me's and misandrists are worlds apart? Well, think again. They're two sides of the same coin, both starve for approval, both buckling under societal pressure. Of course, a person who was never picked despite their efforts would want to decenter men who never centered them. However, women who were picked and centered by men feel no need to go to such extremes. For those who have never centered their lives around seeking validation from men, or any specific group, the concept of decentering is unnecessary. Emotionally healthy people have never made others the focal point of their identity. Both of these identities stem from a lack of self-esteem, that's why I say center yourself. What is a pick-me? The need for validation. A misandrist and a pick-me are the same person. Women don't need men, we want them. All I'm saying is if you are going to get a man, make sure you get more than you give. Men operate a certain way. They say if you can't beat them, join them. I say you can't beat them unless you join them. You have to get in their heads. Because continuing to fornicate and get pregnant, then talking about decentering men is stupid. I want women to get what they deserve and not have to break themselves to get it. Men are supposed to take care of you. Rule 1: do not ever do what a man wants because they always put themselves first. Do what's best for you. We do not need to hate men, we just need to love ourselves. Rule 2: love yourself more than you love a man. The truth is women don't really want to decenter men, we just want men to do right by us. The thing men don't want you to know is that you have the power to make them act right. Men are very calculated, everything they do is for a reason, even if it doesn't seem like it. Most men are low value, and a low value man's goal is to lower your self-esteem so you will accept less. It's less work for them if you accept less because then they don't have to change. We do not need to jump through hoops for men, they should jump through hoops for us. Women have everything men want, but if a man isn't providing or protecting, what do they really have that women want? Every relationship should be mutually beneficial. The price for having a woman should, at the very minimum, be providing and protecting. Stop giving men discounts. Pick-me's are always bending over backward for male approval. They stick to traditional gender roles and put down other women. It's a vicious cycle, reinforcing harmful stereotypes and creating a divide among women. This desperate need for validation from men only leads to low self-esteem, strained relationships, and a loss of authenticity. And let's not forget, it's a big win for patriarchal norms. On the flip side, you've got misandrists who can't stand men. Their hatred often stems from negative experiences or societal pressures. For them, rejecting men is a badge of independence and a way to earn brownie points from like-minded individuals. But let's be real, this approach doesn't do anyone any favors. It only isolates them, perpetuates stereotypes, and makes forming healthy relationships with men near impossible. Not to mention, it creates a hostile environment that shuts down any chance of constructive dialogue. Bottom line, both pick-me's and misandrists are just seeking validation either from men or from a community that shares their views.
And always sniff out a former pygmesia who is actually still pygmesia. Because one thing about a pygmesia, they're imbalanced. They lack balance and they lack nuance. So what a lot of women have been doing in the last 4 or 5 years since the pandemic, they've been taking their extreme pygmesia-isms and bringing them to the very exact opposite, which is hatred for men. That's how I can always sneak out a pygmesia. Pygmesia don't ever really understand that she pygmesia. And she will call anybody and everybody a pygmesia because you go from one extreme to the other extreme with no balance, no nuance, no critical thought, no nothing. And anytime you see a woman defend a man, anytime you see a woman say something that is not praising women and disrespecting men, you automatically call her a pygmisha. And that's how I know you're the pygmisha. This lady called her delusional and male-centered. I don't really know the topic of a conversation, but all I need to know is she said that her marriage has made her life easier, and she's only speaking for her one man, her husband, that she can account for. If marriage is making your life easier as a woman, truly making your life easier, that is when you should go for it. See, so many people get confused because they haven't really critically thought for themselves. They're just using rhetoric from other people. So they don't even know what they're saying. For me, I make content specifically dedicated to women who are powerful and women who want to become powerful. That does not mean you do not get married. That does not mean you do not be in a relationship with men. That means you do what benefits you. That means you know who you are from the inside out, so you will know what benefits you and you will know what doesn't.
Every woman has the right to choose what makes her feel fulfilled and empowered. For some, this might mean embracing traditional gender roles and finding joy in relationships and family life. For others, it might mean focusing on personal goals and independence. But it is possible to value traditional gender roles while also prioritizing personal growth and self-worth. This balance can lead to a fulfilling life where relationships are important, but not the sole focus. Whether a woman chooses to discenter men or embrace traditional roles, the key is authenticity. Empowerment comes from making choices that align with one's true self and values, rather than conforming to societal expectations. However, most social media content that focuses on decentering men crosses the line into misandry, expressing hostility or contempt towards men. When women experience or witness significant gender-based discrimination or violence, some may respond with hostility towards men as a form of defense or retaliation. Social media can create echo chambers where extreme views are amplified. This can lead to a cycle where negative attitudes towards men are reinforced and amplified. Jokes about male tears or statements like "ban men" are often used on social media to be hostile towards men, reflecting a lack of concern or compassion for their misfortunes or experiences. Individuals who have had negative personal experiences with men, such as abusive relationships or workplace harassment, sometimes generalize these experiences to all men. This phenomenon is known as projection, where one's feelings and experiences are attributed to others. If an individual has limited positive interactions with men, their negative experiences can dominate their perception. This lack of positive counterexamples can make it harder to see men in a balanced light. It's important to recognize that while these reactions are understandable, they can also be harmful and unfair to those men who do not exhibit negative behaviors. Let's dive into the parallels between a pick-me and a misandrist, focusing on their need for validation and how these seemingly opposite personas can actually share common ground. Need for validation. Both pick-me individuals and misandrists often seek validation, but in different ways. Pick-me typically seeks validation from men by aligning with their preferences and often putting down other women to stand out. They might say things like, "I'm not like other girls," to gain approval. Misandrist seeks validation through a strong stance against men, often as a reaction to negative experiences or societal pressures. This can be a way to assert independence and gain approval from like-minded individuals. Reaction to societal expectations. Both personas are reactions to societal expectations and pressures. Pick-me conforms to traditional gender roles and expectations to gain favor and acceptance from men. Misandrist rejects and rebels against these roles, often as a form of empowerment and self-validation, identity and self-worth. Identity and self-worth. Both struggle with issues of identity and self-worth. Pick-me ties their self-worth to male approval and often feels the need to compete with other women. Misandrist may tie their self-worth to their independence from men and their ability to criticize or reject male influence. Internalized misogyny. Both can exhibit forms of internalized misogyny. Pick-me often puts down other women to elevate themselves in the eyes of men, perpetuating negative stereotypes. Misandrist can also perpetuate negative stereotypes about men, which can stem from internalized negative experiences and societal conditioning. Evolution over time. Both personas can evolve and heal over time. Pick Me may eventually recognize the unhealthy nature of seeking validation from men and shift towards self-empowerment and solidarity with other women. Misandrist may also evolve to find a more balanced perspective, recognizing that not all men are the same and that empowerment doesn't have to come from a place of negativity. Examples of pick-me behavior that can double as misandry. Downplaying feminine interests, dismissing traditionally feminine activities or interests to appear more unique or desirable. For instance, saying, "I'm not into shopping or makeup, I'd rather play video games." While this is typically seen as a way to gain male approval, it can also reflect a disdain for traditional gender roles, which can be a form of rejecting societal norms that are often male-dominated. Seeking male validation, aligning with sexist views or behaviors to gain male approval. This can include agreeing with statements that undermine women's rights or roles, such as, "I think women should focus more on family than careers." This behavior might seem contradictory to misandry, but it can stem from a desire to control or manipulate male attention, which can be rooted in negative attitudes towards men. Differentiating from other women, emphasizing how different they are from other women in a way that puts others down. For example, "I'm not like other girls, I actually enjoy sports and don't care about gossip." This can be a way to assert superiority over other women, but it can also involve rejecting the idea that women should compete for male attention, which can be tied to a broader critique of male-dominated social structures. Downplaying other women's achievements, making comments that belittle other women's successes to make oneself seem more appealing. For example, "She only got that promotion because she's pretty, I work hard for everything I get." This behavior can be seen as internalized misogyny, but it can also reflect a belief that men should not be the arbiters of success, thus rejecting male validation as a measure of worth. Seeking male attention in group settings, trying to stand out in mixed-gender groups by putting down other women. For example, "I'm not like other girls, I actually enjoy watching sports and drinking beer." This can be a strategy to gain power or influence within a male-dominated group, which can involve manipulating male perceptions and exploiting their weaknesses. Promiscuity. If someone is being promiscuous specifically to gain male attention and approval, and they emphasize this behavior to differentiate themselves from other women, it could be seen as pick-me behavior. For example, if someone says, "I'm not like other girls, I'm more open-minded about sex," to appeal to men. Also, if promiscuity is used as a way to put down other women or to elevate oneself in the eyes of men. For instance, saying, "Other girls are so prudish, I'm more fun and adventurous." While often judged harshly, promiscuity can be a way to assert control over one's sexuality in defiance of male expectations, which can be a form of rejecting male dominance. People may exhibit pick-me or misandrist behavior for various reasons, often rooted in deeper psychological and social factors. Here are some common reasons. Low self-esteem. People with low self-esteem might engage in pick-me behavior as a way to gain validation and feel better about themselves. By seeking approval from men, they may temporarily boost their self-worth. Misandry, or the hatred of men, can be linked to low self-esteem as well. Some individuals may develop negative attitudes towards men as a way to cope with their own feelings of inadequacy or past negative experiences. This can be similar to how misogyny can stem from personal insecurities and negative experiences with women. Competition for attention. In environments where there is a perceived scarcity of male attention or approval, some individuals might feel the need to compete with other women. This competition can manifest as pick-me behavior, where they try to differentiate themselves by putting others down. In some cases, individuals may develop negative attitudes towards men as a way to assert their own value or to stand out in social or professional environments. This can be seen as a form of competition for attention or recognition. For example, in environments where men are perceived to dominate or receive more attention, some individuals might react by developing hostile attitudes towards men as a way to challenge this dynamic. This can be similar to how some people might develop negative attitudes towards women in male-dominated fields. Pick-me behavior often involves compromising one's own beliefs, values, and authenticity to gain approval or attention from men. This can lead to actions and statements that don't truly reflect the individual's genuine self but are instead aimed at fitting into what they believe men want or expect. Key aspects of pick-me or misandrist behavior. Compromising authenticity, engaging in behaviors or expressing opinions that aren't true to oneself in order to be more appealing to men. This can include downplaying one's interests, changing one's appearance, or adopting views that align with traditional gender roles. Engaging in behaviors or expressing opinions that aren't true to oneself in order to be less appealing to men. This can include downplaying one's interests, changing one's appearance, or adopting views that don't align with traditional gender roles to manipulate how men see you to gain power in male-dominated environments or man-hating environments. If a person who exhibits pick-me behavior feels rejected or unappreciated by men, they might adopt misandrist attitudes to gain approval from women who share those views. This shift can be seen as another form of seeking validation, but from a different group. Here are a few reasons why this might happen. Rejection and resentment. Experiencing rejection from men can lead to feelings of resentment, which might manifest as misandry. This can be a coping mechanism to deal with the emotional pain of rejection. Seeking new validation. If seeking validation from men doesn't work, they might turn to communities where misandrist views are more accepted, seeking approval and belonging from those groups instead. Identity reformation. After experiencing rejection, individuals might reassess their values and beliefs, sometimes swinging to the opposite extreme as they redefine their identity and priorities. Social influence. The influence of social circles and online communities can play a significant role. If someone finds support and validation in groups that hold misandrist views, they might adopt those views to fit in. It's important to recognize that both pick-me behavior and misandry can stem from a desire for validation and belonging. Encouraging self-acceptance and authenticity can help individuals find more genuine connections and avoid the pitfalls of seeking approval through extreme behaviors. It's quite fascinating how social dynamics and the need for validation can lead to such shifts in behavior. People often adapt to their environments and the feedback they receive, which can result in switching between seeking approval from different groups. This adaptability can be seen as a way to cope with social pressures and find a sense of belonging. However, it can also highlight the importance of fostering self-acceptance and authenticity. When individuals feel secure in their own identity and values, they're less likely to feel the need to conform to external expectations, whether from men or women. At its core, pick-me and misandrist behavior is driven by a deep need for validation and acceptance, which can indeed extend beyond just seeking approval from men or women. Here are a few key aspects to consider. Broad desire for validation. Individuals exhibiting pick-me behavior often crave validation from any source, whether it's men, women, or even larger social groups. The primary goal is to feel valued and accepted. Adapting to different audiences. To gain approval, they might adapt their behavior, opinions, and even appearance to fit the expectations of different groups. This can mean seeking validation from women by aligning with feminist views or from men by conforming to traditional gender norms. Social dynamics. The need for validation can be influenced by social dynamics and the feedback they receive. If someone feels more accepted by a particular group, they might shift their behavior to align with that group's values and expectations. Emotional fulfillment. The underlying drive is often emotional fulfillment. When individuals don't feel secure in their own identity, they might seek external validation to fill that void, regardless of the source. A healthy and balanced person is true to themselves without seeking excessive validation from others or harboring negative attitudes. Here are some characteristics of a balanced and nuanced individual. Self-acceptance, they have a strong sense of self-worth and don't rely heavily on external validation. They value their own opinions and beliefs while being open to others' perspectives. Authenticity, they stay true to their values and interests rather than conforming to what they think others want. This authenticity helps build genuine connections with others. Respect for others, they respect and appreciate others without feeling the need to put anyone down or seek approval. They can engage in healthy, supportive relationships with both men and women. Emotional intelligence, they understand and manage their own emotions well and can empathize with others. This helps them navigate social interactions more effectively and maintain balanced relationships. Confidence, they are confident in who they are and what they stand for, which reduces the need for constant validation. This confidence allows them to be comfortable in their own skin and less influenced by societal pressures. Open-mindedness, they are open to learning and growing, willing to consider different viewpoints without feeling threatened. This helps them avoid extreme behaviors and maintain a balanced outlook. Striving for this balance can lead to healthier, more fulfilling relationships and a stronger sense of self. It's a journey of self-discovery and growth, and it's perfectly okay to seek support along the way. Misandry is hatred, and hatred, like other strong emotions, can indeed occupy a lot of mental and emotional space. When you hate someone, you're often thinking about them frequently, which can be draining and counterproductive. Strong emotions, whether positive or negative, tend to dominate our thoughts. Hatred can be just as consuming as love or admiration. When you hate someone, you might constantly focus on their negative traits or actions, which keeps them at the forefront of your mind. Hatred can stem from unresolved conflicts or feelings of injustice. The desire to resolve these issues can keep you thinking about the person involved. Holding on to hatred can affect your mental and emotional well-being, leading to stress and anxiety. This can create a cycle where the negative feelings reinforce themselves. Constantly thinking about someone you hate can drain your energy and attention, making it harder to focus on positive aspects of your life. Finding ways to let go of these negative emotions can be beneficial. Practices like mindfulness, forgiveness, and focusing on positive relationships can help shift your focus and improve your overall well-being. People only have to decenter things or people they once made the center of their lives, but there are people who never made that mistake. For those who have never centered their lives around seeking validation from men, or any specific group, the concept of decentering might indeed seem unnecessary or even strange. Here are a few thoughts on this. Different experiences, people's experiences and backgrounds shape their perspectives. Those who have always maintained a balanced sense of self might not relate to the need for decentering because they never made others the focal point of their identity. Self-awareness, individuals who have a strong sense of self-awareness and confidence from the start are less likely to fall into the trap of seeking external validation. For them, maintaining authenticity is a natural state. Cultural and social influences play a significant role. In some cultures, or social circles, the pressure to seek validation from men might be more pronounced, making decentering a necessary step for some individuals. Personal growth, for those who have centered their lives around others, decentering can be a crucial part of personal growth and self-discovery. It's about reclaiming one's identity and focusing on self-worth. Respecting different journeys, it's important to respect that everyone is on their own journey. What might seem unnecessary to one person could be a vital step for another in achieving balance and self-acceptance. So, whether you're a pick-me or a misandrist, remember that both of these identities stem from a lack of self-esteem. Ultimately, the goal is to create a life that feels authentic and fulfilling, whether that involves decentering men or embracing traditional gender roles. It's about finding what resonates with you and supports your well-being. It's time to get real with yourself. Boosting self-esteem is no walk in the park. It's like tending a garden, it demands time, patience, and some serious self-love. So, are you watering your self-worth or just letting it wilt? Are you weeding out the doubts or letting them choke your growth? You are enough. Your journey, your rules. Celebrate your wins, big or small, and remember, your value isn't up for negotiation. So, until we meet again, stay authentic and keep your light beaming. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. What do you think? Is a misandrist and a pick-me the same person? Let me know in the comments section. Stay bougie.